Pleasantries extended from a very warm, what am I saying? Hot Austin, Texas, 92 degrees. Feels like 99 according to the experts. And you add in the wind chill factor, well, it's hot here in Austin. Our podcast continues to heat up, The Big Bid Theory. I'm Bill Culhane, along with the conductor of Crazy Bids, Mr. Jim Ward. Jim, how are you doing today?
All right, Bill. I'm doing okay. It's a lovely summer heat-filled day here in Austin, Texas.
When I walked up to the building this morning, I saw you frying eggs out on the sidewalk. I don't think that's very sanitary, but they did look delicious.
You know, I'm a minimalist. I'm a survivalist, man.
You're a bunch of ists.
I am more ists than I care to name.
All right, well, let's get started here. First of all, let's start it with this. 4 Tales of Ordinary Madness returns to the show. That's right. I can hear everybody clapping from here. You thought Jim was only a famous podcaster and yoga expert. Admit it. You thought that.
Yoga practitioner.
Jim.
I am expert, but I'm just starting, so I'm still a practitioner too. Sorry.
No, don't never be sorry on TBBT. Jim has also published. We're going to take a somewhat serious look and
Pulitzer.
And also in line with our last episode, we're going to take a look at his recent article on emergency assets. Last but never least, Jim has a crazy bid that'll make you ponder. It'll make you feel musical and whimsical.
It is full of whim, if nothing else.
Jim, before we really get into the show, as you know, you've read my bio. I've dabbled in broadcasting for about 25 years now. You and I have done about 25 episodes.
25 years? More, like 50
I started when I was 5.
You and Ernie Harwell.
I started when I was 5. So I know you usually promo the upcoming episodes at the end of the current show. That's
Not this time.
No, that's kind of podcasting 101. Well, I'm gonna quickly break the rule. Next week, Jim and I, in a very special episode of TBBT, will have a guest on who is a leading researcher in terrorism, including, look at this, Jim, our guest next week spent 3 months back in 2011 embedded with a combined joint interagency task force in Kabul, Afghanistan. So mark it down. You don't want to miss next week's podcast.
The guy's amazing.
Have you ever been to Afghanistan?
I have not.
Well, this guy has.
Yeah. No, he's amazing. So definitely tune in.
Okay, my friends, now it is time for, and we had it first segment, I should say, of Tales of Ordinary Madness was 2 or 3 episodes ago, Jim. We thought our listeners would shoot it down. It's been the polar opposite. Again, it's 99 degrees here. I hate to say polar. But anyway, the bottom line is everybody loved Tales of Ordinary Madness. What do you have this time?
Well, the first Tales of Ordinary Madness, otherwise known as My Life, was about beginner's yoga, which still practicing yoga at my home studio here in Austin, Yoga Squared. One day they may acknowledge that.
You know what people are calling you behind your back, right?
Yoga Gym?
No, they're calling you Limber Jimber.
Well, you know what? That's an upgrade from what it usually is. Anyway, so this time I just had something I just had to bring up to Bill, and it turned into something that everyone should hear. The game of golf, okay? I used to have to play quite a bit when I would have to entertain clients, and actually got my handicap down to a 14, legitimate 14, which golfers, you realize that's actually really good for someone who's, doesn't play.
You're being humble.
Well, I mean, I was playing like 3 times a week then, and hitting balls in between. So, and it's hard. So, and then I realized I was having to spend 4.5 hours with somebody that usually not only did I not like, were just ravaging my nerves. So I quit and gave my clubs away, haven't played since, until just the other day when a friend invited me to play, and I was reminded of everything I hate about golf.
Hate about golf?
I hate about golf. Oh my gosh. So first off, let's just start off with the folks that you're hanging with. I mean, it's a bunch of old, cigar-smoking, wrinkledy, white, pseudo-rich men who don't let other people that aren't old and wrinkly and white and so forth into their little white sanctuary to play their game. And I have the worst luck. I always get paired with, you know Caddyshack, right?
I know Caddyshack.
Imagine Judge Smelling, him. You know, that's who I always get paired somehow with somebody like that. So, secondly, too many rules. I'd forgotten how many golf rules there are. Good Lord. I mean, I break one all the time without even realizing. But I'm sure lots of people do that. And last but not least, okay, we just talked about how hot it was. And I'm kind of famous in these parts for the amount of sweat that I, produce.
Thanks for the visual.
I apologize. I'm just, facts are facts. It's not a pretty thing. But
can I tell you real quickly my famous golf go-to line?
Por favor.
Okay, I used to play golf quite a bit, not as much as you, and I certainly didn't have a 14 handicap. But I love going up. I'd go up to people and say, I played golf the other day and I shot a 69, and their eyes get big, right?
Yeah.
And I quickly would add, but I did better on the back nine.
Better bunch.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I like that. And I've had rounds like that too. But back to the sweaty visual. Let's not get too far from that. So I had to wear pants. Okay, so Bill, I don't like to wear pants.
It makes us uncomfortable here at the office. But yeah.
I know. I just don't like to. So I was sweating like a mongoose. I mean, it was...
Do mongoose sweat? Is it mongoose or mongooses or mongoose? Do they sweat?
Mongoose. I don't know, but it just came out of my mouth.
Sweat like, okay, good.
It really did. I was going to say like a wildebeest, but I went with mongoose just on a, bam.
Because they're sweaty.
Because they're so sweaty. Anyway, so golf made me do that, okay? So I had to be around a bunch of wrinkly old white men chasing around their little white balls around land that could be so much cooler, public parks, what have you. Two good things, though, Bill, that I found about golf that will and always remain same.
Only two things.
Two, but there are two. So there's, for you golfers, is there any better sight than you're coming around a dog leg, you're dying of heat, you want something to drink really bad, maybe a beer, what have you, and all of a sudden you see this flowing hair in this golf cart, right? Behind this flowing hair, ice chests full of beer and beverages and whatnot. Beer girls, okay? Beer girls in carts are a great thing.
Okay, concurs.
Yeah.
What's the second?
The second, I get to wear my plaid. That's it. Very rarely do I get to pull out
your polyester plaid.
No. I mean, I've got some serious plaid going, like Paul Westerberg and the Replacements plaid.
Very good.
All right. So that's it. Golf, meh. And there you have Tales of Ordinary Madness, a.k.a. my life.
Thank you very much, Jim.
I'm sorry.
On behalf of our listeners, we appreciate that. Now let's get back to the here and now. Let's get away from the course. Jim, you and I like to joke. We like to insert the self-deprecating humor. But
I don't.
Well, you do enjoy it. Well, folks, Jim is a writer of some renown. This week, Jim's report on emergency command vehicles was published in 911 magazine. Jim, I know it's early.
Or magazine 911.
As an alternative. Earlier, you kind of joked about a Pulitzer Prize. Well, I know it's early to get, for example, the Hopwood Award.
Penn Faulkner.
But good job. Good job, my humble published co-host. I know you have a number of friends who are first responders. You and I have talked about that. Yeah. Firefighters, police, EMT. You pointed out, as it pertains to responding to emergencies, there are a few things that you consistently hear from your friends in that community, and kind of served as the genesis for you putting together the report on command vehicles.
So yeah, I've got a ton of friends and it's EMTs in that field, and the one thing that they always say is communication. I mean, more than anything, and I think that's going to be true in any emergency or disaster situation. I mean, without communication, everything else is moot, right?
I agree.
So that is, as my friend Daryl, whenever he's this mechanic of like famous renown, when something's wrong with his own car, he always starts with the spark plugs and works his way out. Same concept. I mean, without communication, and having those lines set and in place, everything else, you don't know what's wrong.
What else have you heard from those guys?
And a couple other things that seem to be recurring themes are, and a couple of my friends are pretty high place, whatever you want to call it, but the shorter the leadership command, the quicker the communication. It all boils down to that communication once again. The better the situation. And last but not least, as far as what I hear in that vein, once a disaster's underway, Bill, it's on, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do to stop it. I mean, they would tell me these stories about people trying to do a last-minute thing, and it's pebbles on a freight train.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, you have to have the resources available as you're there on the scene, because if you don't have them beforehand, it's too late. That makes sense. For, novices amongst us, and I'm certainly one of those, when you say command vehicles, what exactly are you describing in your article?
Yeah, no, the analysis specifically targeted command vehicles for crime scenes, okay? And that includes, in crime scenes, explosive ordnance disposal, which means anything from, the bomb robots to actually sappers. Do they actually? You know what? I'm saying that. Do they still have sappers? I'm going like WW2 all of a sudden.
You're the author, man.
I know, but I just that word just popped out of my mouth, and I realized how dated that is. So anyway, I redact that statement. And hazmat and law enforcement.
Okay, well that all makes sense. They need command vehicles. Now, of course, last time, Jim, we had Jake Durr on from the Austin Homeland Security and Emergency Management Office. He talked about being prepared. Looking here at your report, it seems like governments have been investing in helping first responders be prepared.
Oh, for sure. Already in 2016, there have been 105 relevant requests. And in 2014, researches, I speak English, research in the BidPrime database revealed 208 of them. In 2015, the number was 236. Now, here in Austin, we have our agency set us up completely, and we also have a Plan B, which is Willie Nelson's tour bus, which I have actually been on before.
Okay, a law enforcement command vehicle.
I'm just telling you.
Willie Nelson. Why does that sound like a conflict?
Well, it shouldn't at all, which we'll get to in an episode here upcoming. But no, Willie's bus is renowned actually for the only other bus made like it was Obama's re-election bus, and I have been on it, and if there was a catastrophic event, an emergency, what have you, that's where I'm heading. Thanks, Willie.
So your study obviously has just begun to travel across the internet. If anybody wants to check it out, where can they go?
They can catch this at 911 Magazine. They're online at 911magazine.com. And the report is also available on BidPrime's blog. So everyone knows where that is, bidprime.com/blog. And, give it a quick read if you wouldn't mind. It's informative, and it's got a good picture of me.
Well, great. Great job there, Joe. So, again, that's 911magazine.com or BidPrime blog, which is at bidprime.com/news/blog. All right, partner, everybody's usually their favorite part of the show. We've gotten to that point. Crazy Bids is pretty jazzy this time.
Oh, ouch. So, first off, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Crazy Bids That You Can Win. So this bid comes to us from our collective seamen and seawomen of the U.S. Navy. it is for the it's a sole source bid, which is my point to all this, for advertisement for this. They're having a summer band and concert series as well as a holiday concert series, and good for them. I mean, I think we should always want to keep our collective seamen and see women entertained and happy.
Is there? Did you say holiday?
Yes, I'll get to that.
Okay.
So I'm just thinking, okay, let me look further into this, a music bid, needing bands. And Bill, I uncovered, the Dos Equis man, the most interesting man in the world. You know what I'm talking about?
You with a beard.
Me with a beard and my dreams. But no, this guy is the luckiest guy in the world. He's the Dos Equis man. This is basically their series starts. It's kind of sad, actually. It starts off with some really bad music, jazz, and I know there was a collective sigh, like, my God, they're really doing that to our collective men and women of the naval forces. And yeah, they're making them listen to jazz throughout like 5 different concerts. And
what don't you like about jazz?
I hate jazz. It's the only genre of music.
But see, I guess I didn't know you as well as I thought. I can just picture you sitting around a piano, a sifter of brandy in your hand, a cigar or a pipe, and I can just see you nodding your head to the rhythmic beat of the jazz.
I mean, I can too, if they still made bennies. Pop a few bennies down my mouth and I'm digging jazz, don't get me wrong. But in general, I have a rule of thumb. If I can't dance to it, I really don't need to know it, and that's jazz. I mean, and some people like it. I don't know these people. Well, Bill, do you like jazz?
I don't like jazz.
See?
I was just trying to be obtuse.
No, exactly. No one likes jazz without bennies. But they also, later in the year, they have some chamber music, which would be really amazing. They have some rock and roll. They have some rock and roll music, which, now, this is a news flash, I guess, a scoop, if you will. But I hear that the TBBT band.
Whoa.
Yeah, the TBBT band, the players, the boys, the players, that they were actually going to bid on a couple of these rock shows, rock and roll, and of course a Lynn. I mean, you've heard them, you hear them. So yeah, there's kind of an announcement there. If you're in Norfolk, Virginia, you may want to check out the TBBT band whenever they come rock your town.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get here quickly. Get to the TBBT band. Put a wrap on this episode of the show. If you have any to spare, please send us some cool weather. Short of that, we humbly remind you to remember to download, share. Sharing is kind, and we also encourage you to follow the Big Bit Theory. Until our listens overload their servers, we're on iHeart, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Google Play, and Pocket Cast. Keep the emails coming. We appreciate the kind words. Words of encouragement are always helpful. Jim, even the ones that aren't so kind, we appreciate those as well.
I don't. And just for the record, like all you trolls out there, I don't appreciate it. I know I'm not supposed to say this.
But you said in the production meeting you wouldn't call out the people who aren't so kind.
No, I mean, it's I find them annoying. But for all our regular listeners, thank you so much, and spread the word, and follow us on iHeart or iTunes or all the other places that Bill named.
You can email me at bcolhane@bidprime.com. Jim's email address is jward@bidprime.com. And yes, even though Jim is an author, don't worry, folks. He's not going to point out your grammar errors in your emails. Our Twitter following continues to go north. Thank you very much. At The Big Bit Theory is our Twitter. If you aren't already, please follow us, and we sincerely thank you for all of those retweets and likes. If you want to get more personal, Jim is on Twitter as Jim Ward, the number 6. I'm contract_Hunter.
Type, but don't touch, okay? As far as getting personal on Twitter. Anyway, go
Jim,
ahead.
any final shout-outs you want to make before we put a final bow on this one?
Indeed I do, my friend. The Great Lakes Biomimicry Institute's fundraiser that they have had going on to increase the the awareness of the science of biomimicry, has in its last 2 weeks, I believe. And you can check online. We'll have that information as far as a link to where you can contribute to the education for the Great Lakes Biomimicry Institute.
Very good. Okay, folks, I mentioned it earlier in the podcast. Do not miss our next special episode.
Nay.
Dr. Colin Clark, author of Terrorism, Inc., The Financing of Terrorism, Insurgency, and Irregular Warfare, will join us. Dr. Clark is an associate of political science at the RAND Corporation. He's also a professor at both the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University there in Pittsburgh, and is a noted expert in insurgency, counterinsurgency, irregular, asymmetric, and cyber warfare. If that doesn't interest you at all, well, this isn't the podcast for you.
Hey.
All the best to you. For Jim Ward, our TBBT staff ferociously applying the sunscreen behind the glass, what is SPF 500 anyway? Jim's book signing has got to be coming soon. Until next time, where we all will know a lot more about terrorism, go Gunners, Barracudas, Tigers, and Bobcats, and we wish you all the best in growing your business. And all that jazz.